Now joined by three of the rising stars of the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East, who are driving in the United States Services 70 tomorrow. First, the driver of the number 2 UTI NTI Toyota from Tampa, Florida, Colin Cabre. Colin, talk about your season so far.
It's going to be a long one if we talk about all the races. We've had a pretty dismal year so far. Just a lot of bad luck, a lot of mechanical problems. Gotten wrecked the past 3 races. So it's just been one of those where, we're trying to upbring it and get a good year out of it the second half. We're only halfway, or a little over halfway, so we're trying to definitely, improve, and made some changes to the cars and on the teams for halfway through the year, and we're going to some good racetracks that have been good to me the past couple years. So we're definitely trying to, make it a little bit better and hopefully get a W by the end of the year.
And then on the far side, we're joined by driver of the number 17 Bama Buggies Textron Off-Road Toyota from Meriden, Mississippi, Chase Purdy. Chase, you sit third in points, lead the Rookie of the Year. You've won 3 straight poles. How do you turn those poles into wins?
I think just seal the deal. We've had really fast race cars, and we've had a lot of chances to win, and it's just come down to, I think, Sobo. I made a driver error, and we lost the race there. And then, places like Memphis, we had a tire go down. So I would say 2 of those 3 times, it's just been bad luck and stuff like that. And then last week, we had to roll out the backup car, and luckily we got the pole with the backup car. It was really fast during qualifying, and it just we didn't get much time to work on race run speed, so I think it really hurt us in the race, and that kind of put us down a little bit.
And then we're finally joined by driver of the number 12 Dex Imaging Toyota from Huntersville, North Carolina, our championship points leader, Harrison Burton. Harrison, coming off a win at Thompson, coming to a track where your family has had success. Talk about what it means to you to run at New Hampshire.
It's awesome to run at New Hampshire. Everyone always is talking about my dad and led every lap here and won Cup race, and it's really a high point in his career, and I'm ready to try and add to my own name. Everyone always tries to relate me and my dad, and everyone in the autograph line is like, "You're Jeff's son, right?" I want to change that. I want to be Harrison. So hopefully I can come out this weekend and bring home a W, and hopefully make it number 5 in the K&N East Series this year, and start making a name for myself.
For the record, Ward has a cup win here too as well.
Yes, he does, but Ward is probably the most liked driver just because of his voice.
We'll open up to questions for our 3 drivers. We'll go to Jim, and then we'll go to Glenn.
Jim Elder, motorsport.com. Harrison, obviously much different start to this season than last year. What are some of the things that you attribute that to?
It's hard to say. Last year, I felt like I worked just as hard as I did this year. Felt like team worked just as hard as we have this year. Just came out and really went to work in the off season. I think the preparation before the season was a little bit different, I think, on my part and the team's part, and going and testing and trying to better ourselves before the season starts. And that momentum from learning so much in the off season has really carried in all levels of what I've raced. From supers, we've won 3 races and have had a good year so far, or 4 races, and had a good start of the year in that. She's a stat person. And then K&N, we won 4, and ARCA, we've won 1. So I think it's just a culmination of off-season work and coming into the season more prepared on my part and the race team's part.
We'll go to Glenn down here, and then
Glenn Charlton from NASCAR.com. Harrison, so can you describe your mental state besides winning going into a race?
It's hard. I think every driver goes into races different. For me, I like to be focused, obviously, but I like to be laid back too. I think if you get too uptight, you can kind of hurt yourself by overthinking everything. So for me, my mental state is normally pretty laid back going into the race, and as soon as the engines fire, I'm ready to go, and I'm get focused and get intense, and really get focused on bringing home the trophy. But as of right now and time before practice and before the race, I'm normally pretty laid back.
Amy Harrop, Race Pro Weekly. So this is for all of you. What are some of the biggest challenges you find on a flat track like here at New Hampshire?
I guess I'll take this one first, but I think just really not overdriving the corner. You really want to get your braking done early and roll through the center with a lot of momentum and get a good run up off, because of places like flat tracks, if you overdrive entry, then the whole corner is messed up really, and you wash up in the center and you don't get a good run up off, and that's going to be crucial here, and I think that's what's going to be fast, and that's what you got to do. So that's one big factor that I think is involved.
For me, I think this is kind of a testament to how every driver style is different. I think the faster you can drive into a flat track, the better. Especially a place like this with big sweeping corners. You can drive in deep and then get off the gas and just let it roll and carry speed without having to hustle to the center of the corner and get to the gas too early and then get it pointed and get a good run up off. So every driver has a different attack, and one's not right and one's not wrong. It's just what works for each driver.
Yeah, they kind of already said most of it, but my style is I like the more big high banked racetracks, more hammer down style. That's more me. But these flat racetracks, you just got to be able, like they said, not overdrive it and find mechanical grip, because without the banking, you really have to get the car into the racetrack a lot more than you would, I would say, at like a banked racetrack where that banking helps you. And now that the VHT is down, I'm sure it'll be totally different. It'll probably be a little bit easier to find grip, because if it's anything like it was at Bristol, there's a lot of grip down there and down around the bottom, and our cars don't have as much horsepower as these cars, so we got to carry a lot of momentum.
I'm going to go Reed in the back.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. You just answered my question. Basically, you guys have driven on a VHT treated track before at Bristol. How big a variable do you think that's going to be this weekend?
All right. It's going to be huge. You have to practice on both the VHT and on the track surface without it, because if rain comes and the VHT gets washed away and it's not as strong, you're going to find that your car is going to handle completely different out of the VHT than it would in. Like for Bristol, my car was really, really good for the VHT, but we were a little bit too loose out of it. So when I would get in passing situations or being passed, you'd be struggling up top because you don't have that grip from the VHT up off of the surface. So it's definitely a huge variable and something that each team kind of attacks differently, and something that hopefully we can figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge, obviously. It's really, I almost call it, when we ran at Bristol, like a fix-all type of substance. It's if you run, we ran up top most of practice above it because we thought it was going to wear away, and then by time race time came, it was a lighter color, but it still had tons of grip. So no matter what, we were back down there. But I think we're going to practice in it most of the day, and then obviously, like Harrison said, practice out of it just in case. You know, you don't know how much they laid down or what they did, if they did it the same as Bristol or not. So you got to be prepared for both.
Yeah, I really think they nailed it with what they said. You know, at Bristol, we were a little tight in the center in the VHT, and then out of it, I felt like the car was handling really well. But you know, at Bristol, it was a rainy weekend. I'm pretty sure it was rain 90% of the time, and so a lot of guys were practicing up top instead of the bottom where the VHT was. And then come race time, like, just had this. Everybody kind of had a different game plan, and it was really cool to see how that worked out. But at the end, the VHT prevailed, and I think that's where everybody's going to be today, is in the VHT.
Wait, more late.
SpencerMotorsport.com. Colin, of the 6 remaining races, where do you think you have the best shot to win?
I like to say Dover. We've had our best luck there. I felt like we were fast there last year. Obviously, we won there in 2015. But I feel like Dover, Iowa's one that we have circled on our list, just because of the style of racetrack it is. And I feel pretty confident going into Langley. I ran there in a late model earlier this year, and I've ran there quite a bit in a late model a couple years ago. So I feel like if we can get our short track program a little bit better by the time we get there, I feel that Langley, we just have a good a shot as the rest of them. But Dover for sure.
We'll go to Jim.
JimMutterMotorsport.com. Harrison, sort of the same question, but from a different perspective. Being the series points leader, as you look ahead, how do you think the upcoming races, look as far as where you think you can perform well?
I think we got a lot of really good racetracks for us coming up. We got Langley coming up, like he said. It's a short track. We've been good on short tracks recently and started to get our short track program better to try and catch up with these guys a little bit. They've been really fast. But Iowa, I feel like I'm really confident going into Iowa. I have a truck experience from there, and I feel like that's going to help me a lot of racing and working with the air and side drafting and all that stuff. It's such a weird thing to be side drafting on a track that's only a mile, but it works, and it worked at the truck. So gonna be using that a lot, and I feel like the road courses is something that I feel like I'm gonna perform better than I did last year. Last year, the first 2 road course races I was all right, mid-pack, but then I started to pick it up in New Jersey. In the last road course race, we were running really good and had a track bar mount brake. So I feel like I'm pretty confident going into the road course races, and hopefully we can get through those clean and hopefully surprise everyone with a win.
And Colin, speaking of confidence, I know you said that you've had a couple bumps this season so far, but Rev Racing has 4 drivers in the top 10, including you, Jay Beasley, Ruben Garcia, and your younger brother. Can you just talk a little bit about the confidence that you guys have as a team this year and how you guys are running?
Yeah, I think confidence as a team as a whole is very high. Obviously, I think we're running better than we have in any of the years I've been there as a group. Personally, we've ran better in years past, but as a group, as a total group, we're running a lot better, a lot more competitive. Obviously, Ruben and Chase and Jay are competitive week in and week out, and we're putting a lot of time in at the shop, a lot of time into the cars and making them better. And it's paying off slowly but surely.
Any more questions for these 3? We got one more question from Glenn. Wrap it up.
Harrison, you finished 7th here last year. What is your biggest focus this time around to get a better finish?
I think the biggest focus for me is to unload fast, get off the trailer fast and do my job early, as far as being in the right lane and having speed fast on my part. And that makes our job so much easier as a race team to work on the car instead of working on myself. You go to a lot of places for the first time, and it's so hard to pick up speed really fast, and it's hard to prepare the right way. But now having experience at this racetrack, I feel like I'll be able to unload faster, and then we'll be able to get our car faster after the first run of practice. I feel like I'll be able to give reliable feedback, and hopefully have a really fast race car by the end of practice.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Thank you.